Let's practice solving some one-step equations together. If you'd like to download a free copy of this PDF, you can find a link in the description box below, where you can also find the answer key that's written there as well. When solving these one-step equations that have addition or subtraction as the operation, you want to remember that the objective is for you to get the number 0. Alright, we're always going to add or subtract something to both sides of the equation to get 0. And while we're solving any equations that have multiplication and division in them, our objective really there is going to be getting the number 1 instead, right? We want the coefficient for the variable to always be 1 when we're done. Let's get into it. So for number 1, we have the equation x plus 8 is equal to 13. So here we have addition, and the opposite operation is going to be subtraction. So let's go ahead and subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. If we do that, notice what's going to happen here. 8 minus 8 is going to be 0, so we're going to have x, and we're going to have plus the 0, so remember the goal was to get 0. And on the right side, 13 minus 8 is going to be 5. Now we don't need to write the 0 because of the identity property of addition, so we can just write x equals 5 for our final answer. Alright, that's it. Let's check out number 2 here. For number 2, we have the equation y minus 5 is equal to 7. So again, it's addition or subtraction. Let's go ahead and do the opposite of subtracting 5, which is adding 5. If we go ahead and add 5 to both sides of this equation, we're going to have y plus, and then negative 5 plus 5 is going to be 0. And on the right side, 7 plus 5 is going to equal 12. So we can drop that 0, and we can really say that y is equal to 12. For number 3, let's see what we have here. We have 14 is equal to y plus 19. Okay, so we have addition, so the opposite of that is going to be subtraction. So let's get y alone by subtracting 19. Okay, if we subtract 19 from both sides, then on the left side, 14 minus 19 is going to be negative 5. And then on the right side, we're just left with y plus 0. But we don't really need to write the plus 0, right? And we can also turn this around. I like to write the variable on the left side, so y equals negative 5. Okay, so far all addition and subtraction, right? If we move on to number 4, we have the equation 8 is equal to x minus 6. And so the opposite operation of subtracting 6 would be to add 6. So let's go ahead and do that to both sides of the equation. If we add 6 to both sides, on the left side 8 plus 6 is 14. And on the right side we have x plus, and a negative 6 plus 6 is going to be 0. And we can drop that 0, right? And we're going to write x is equal to 14. So hopefully you're kind of seeing where we're getting 0 each time, because we're really just doing the opposite of adding or subtracting. And then we can cancel out that 0 because we don't need to write it. For number 5, we have another addition problem. So we have x plus 9 is equal to negative 5. Okay, so we're going to try to get 0 again. So 9 minus 9 will get you 0. So we're going to take away 9 from both sides of the equation. On the left side, we're going to have x plus 0. All right, that worked out nicely. And on the right side, we have this negative 5 minus 9. I'll go ahead and write that on the side here. So negative 5 take away 9. Keep in mind that that's the same thing as negative 5 plus negative 9. If you keep change flip or keep change, okay? So remember, when you're subtracting, you can just add the opposite. So negative 5 plus negative 9 is going to be negative 14. Okay, so just writing that out to be super clear. And so x should equal negative 14. Let's see, for number 6, we have the equation y minus 4 is equal to negative 15. Okay, so the opposite of subtraction is going to be addition. Let's go ahead and add 4. Our goal here is to get 0, right? So negative 4 plus 4 will get us that. So we get y plus 0 is equal to, and then negative 15 plus 4 would be negative 11, right? It's got to be less negative because we're adding a positive 4. Now we don't really need to write the plus 0 at the end, so we can just write y equals negative 11 for our final answer. For number 7, we have the equation x plus 7 is equal to negative 6. Okay, so we need to get 0, so to do that, we're going to take away 7 from 7. Okay, we need to get that x alone. And let's see what's going to happen here. X plus 7 minus 7 is 0, so it's going to be x plus 0 is equal to. And negative 6 take away 7. Negative 6 take away 7 is the same thing as negative 6 plus negative 7. If you keep change flip or keep change, and that's going to equal negative 13, right? Because it's a negative plus a negative. That's just more negative. So negative 13, and then we can drop that 0 and write x equals negative 13. Okay, moving on to number 8, we have the equation here, negative 15 is equal to y plus 13. Okay, Now we want y alone, so let's go ahead and try to get 0. Let's subtract 13 and subtract 13 from both sides. If we go ahead and do that, on the left side we have this negative 15 take away 13. Okay, so remember that's the same thing as negative 15 plus negative 13 if you keep change flip. Okay, that's going to be a negative plus a negative, so that's negative 28. Okay, so the left side is going to be negative 28 is equal to, on the right side, y plus 0. We can drop the 0, and I'm going to turn this around because I like my variable on the left, and say y is equal to negative 28. There's our answer. Alright, so for number 9 on, notice how we're going to have some multiplication and division worked in here as well. So we have 4 times something, or 4x is equal to 24. And now because it's multiplication or division, our goal is to get 1 now, right? We want a coefficient of 1. We want 1x. So let's go ahead and divide by 4 since the 4 means multiplication. So what is 4 divided by 4 on the left side? Well, 4 divided by 4 is just going to be 1. So we're really left with 1x, or 1 times x. And on the right side, 24 divided by 4 is equal to 6, right? Now, do you really have to write that 1? No, I'm just writing it so you can see what's going on here. The goal is to get 1 when you're multiplying and dividing, because 1 times anything just stays the same, okay? So that's all we have to do for number 9. For number 10, let's see, we have negative 27 is equal to 3y, which means 3 times y. Well, how do you get y alone? We need a 1 in front, so how do you get a 1 in front of that? We can divide by 3, right? So if we divide by 3, then negative 27 divided by 3, well, 27 divided by 3 is 9, so the opposite of 27 divided by 3 is going to be negative 9. So we're going to have negative 9 is equal to 1 times y, or 1y, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And I turn this around and drop the 1 and say y is equal to negative 9. Cool. Let's try 11. So 11 is a little different. This says x over 5, or x divided by 5, is equal to 4. Okay, so what's the opposite operation for division? The opposite operation is going to be multiplication. So let's go ahead and multiply the left side by 5, which is the same thing as 5 over 1. And on the right side, let's multiply by 5. Okay, so on the left side, I'm just writing as a fraction like this, just because it is easier to see that we can cross cancel. Okay, on the left side, remember when you're multiplying fractions, 5 over 5 is just going to be 1, so that's going to cancel out. We're going to have 1x on the left side. And on the right side, 4 times 5 is 20. We can drop the 1 by the identity property of multiplication and say x is equal to 20. For number 12, we have negative 10 is equal to y divided by 4. Okay, so what's the opposite operation for dividing by 4? It's going to be multiplying by 4. So let's multiply by 4 on the right side and multiply by 4 on the left side. On the left side, 4 times 10 is 40, so 4 times the opposite of 10 should be negative 40. On the right side of the equation, notice these 4's will cancel out with each other because 4 over 4 is equal to 1, so we're going to be left with 1y on the right side of the equation. We can drop that 1 and just write y is equal to negative 40. That would be our answer. For 13, we have this negative 8x equals negative 56. Remember, that just means negative 8 times something equals negative 56. So our goal is to get 1x. So we can get rid of this negative 8 by dividing by negative 8, right? Anything divided by itself will equal 1. So negative 8 divided by negative 8 is just going to be positive 1. So it's going to be positive 1x. And on the right side, 56 divided by 8 is 7, but the opposite of 56 divided by the opposite of 8 is just going to be a regular 7, okay? So x is going to equal positive 7 for this equation. For number 14, we have a division problem. So let's say we have y divided by 9 is equal to negative 14. Okay, so let's see here. We need to get 1y, and we need to get rid of this 9 on the bottom so we can multiply by 9 on top, because those are going to cross cancel, right? So anything on top of itself will become 1. So 9 over 9 is just 1. So on the left side of the equation, we're left with 1y, which is good. That's what we wanted. And on the right side, we have to do 14 times 9. So I'm going to go ahead and just write this out to be super clear. 9 times 4 is going to be 36. Carry the 3. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 3 is 12. So 126. So if 14 times 9 is 126, then the opposite of 14 times 9 is negative 126, or the opposite of 126. Drop that 1 and we have our answer of negative 126. Here's 15. For 15, we have negative 36 is equal to 4 times something. So 4 times something equals negative 36. How do we just get 1x? Well, we can get rid of that 4 by dividing by 4. On the left side, 36 divided by 4 is equal to 9, so the opposite of 36 divided by 4 will be negative 9. On the right side, 4 divided by 4 is going to be 1, so we're going to have 1x. And we can drop that 1 and just say x is equal to negative 9. Finally, for number 16, this last problem here, we have y divided by 3 is equal to negative 6. Okay, so how are we going to get 1y? Well, the 3 on bottom we need to deal with by multiplying by 3 on top. Remember, with fractions, if you have the same number on top and bottom, they cancel each other out. So 3 over 3 are just going to cancel out to make 1, or 1y. So the coefficient for y will be 1, which is what we're looking for. And on the right side, 6 times 3 is 18, so negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. Drop that 1 because we don't really need to write it. It's invisible, but we know it's there. So y equals negative 18. So there you have 16 different practice problems on solving these one-step equations. Don't forget, when we're adding and subtracting, we need to get 0, so add or subtract to get opposites. And when we're multiplying or dividing, we really need to get 1, so we need the numerator and denominator to cancel out, so we get a coefficient of 1. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and as always, keep up the great work, and I'll see you in the next one.